Okay. So, we will say live and then we will start. Okay. Right.
Now you can start here.
Okay. Good evening from India. It may be morning or afternoon or night in your location, but welcome to this talk, which is sponsored and organized by IIU, this is the International Internship University. I am the resource person for today, and it's a privilege to be the resource person for today. May I just give it back to my host? I think maybe the host has something to say.
Now, Sir, you can go further. You can present yourself, present IIU, and your presentation. Good luck.
Right. So that's it. So let me just share my screen on. So there is some music and videos. I really do hope it all works wonderfully, and that makes it a lot more interesting. Right. So I guess everything is okay. Are we Facebook Live? I don't seem to be getting the feed on my Facebook.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So maybe a little bit. Right. Okay. Never mind. Because I would like to see the comments because we have some interactive sessions at the end of the session, and I would like to see the comments coming in because people have to give answers. So anyway, I guess we'll work it out as we go along. So as I said, my name is Andrew. I'm from India, and many thanks to IIU for organizing this talk. My topic for today is ladders of love. A little strange topic, ladders of love. So a lot of people were asking me, what are you going to talk about? Social aspect, professional aspect? Are you going to talk about your love life? Well, I'm going to talk about what is basically and some would go. Others seek wisdom and fame untold. Right, so that's a song by the Flamingos. It's 1957, much before I was born. It's a very, very, very beautiful song. The title of the song is Ladders of Love, and it basically talks about that, we all are climbing ladders. And in the professional world, definitely there are a lot of ladders that we climb. Many of us would have played this game in our childhood, that's Snakes and Ladders, where we try to get to the top by avoiding the snakes. In the professional world, I'm very sad to say this, but there are a lot of ladders and there are a lot of snakes. And hopefully we avoid the snakes. But as the song will go on to say that we need someone to help us climb the ladders. And that's exactly what it is in the professional world too, in the workplace, that we need someone or a team maybe to climb ladders. So when I use the word team, I'm not referring to a coterie or a cabal or something like that. I really mean the word team. Okay, so we need people to help us climb those ladders and to avoid those snakes. That's very, very important. Love, when you use the word love, particularly in India, it's a bit of a taboo because the Western world is, I mean, we use the word love with a lot of respect and a lot of understanding and a lot of uh, really love, as the saying goes. But love sometimes in India, sometimes it has this very negative connotation. It becomes a taboo. It sort of people start thinking of the physical thing, rather than actually what love means. And you may get a reaction sometimes like this when you say use the word love, with somebody. So anyway, let's move on. But because I believe in love at the workplace, and when love enters the workplace, there's a lot of benefit that happens. And I'll try to back this up with stats as we go along. So a little national intelligence that I thought I'll put in. I know IIU has been having a lot of sessions on artificial intelligence. What I do feel is we do need natural intelligence first. Right. So based on my experiences, my observations, my interactions with people over the years, 35, 40 years now, and I've come up with a few real concerns which we need to address. So very often when I ask people their experience, they say 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and so on. But then I put another question: is it 1 into 5 or 5 into 1? And there's a lot of silence before an answer does come out, and it's a very hesitant, very the answer does come out with a lot of effort. Okay, so 1 into 5, in most instances, it has been that, rather than 5 different years. I'm just taking 5 as an example here. Another thing that which is obvious and everybody is talking about it, is the workplace demographics have changed. Today, 50% plus is your millennials and Generation Z. And the thought, the mindset, everything is very different. We know it. We have done enough research on it, and we need to change. We are Gen X or we are baby boomers, and we need to change. Interestingly, I was talking to an HR head of an IT company, absolutely new IT company, kind of a startup. So he says 100% are millennials and Gen Z. That's my workforce. That's my workforce. I said, so what about your HR policies? He says, well, I just copy pasted from other people. That doesn't work. You need to address the workforce. Okay. And to address your workforce, you've got to really open up, right? Artificial intelligence will not work. Natural intelligence has to step in. Another thing which I have observed, and I found it really limits the workforce's growth in the office, barring a few who are in the coterie, or you can say the clique that is there, or the cabal that is existing. Barring those few, the rest of the workforce really do have problems, and HRBP somehow, and I can take names, of companies and of people also. They just partner the HOD or the people in the C-suite, or those people in the cliques or coteries. They don't partner everybody, and that's where a major concern for me. We need to partner everybody, and we'll see this as we go through some of the slides. Everyone would know about Mr. Tata, Ratan Tata, head of the Tata Industries in India. Brilliant person, fantastic person, great human being. And the company, when you work for it, it's a fantastic experience to be working for that company. The thought process is so different. The HR concepts are very different. And he said in one of his talks, he says, the problem with India is jealousy and pettiness are pretty much rampant. And that has to be eliminated. I leave that thought, and over my 35, 40 years at least, I have seen this very closely. Jealousy and pettiness, backstabbing, gossiping, making mountains out of molehills. You name it, it's there. Harassment, bullying, and so on and so forth. It's pretty sad as it goes through. But this has to be eliminated. Then really the workforce becomes tremendous. And again, we'll see this in some of the data that I have been able to collect. And obviously, we all talk about engagement. Yes, engagement has to be there. I'm not saying no to engagement. We have to have that engagement, whatever form it comes out in, whether it is just simple rangoli or an annual picnic or an annual day or cricket or a game that is played. But before engagement, there has to be belongingness. That is very, very important. I have given some concept about belongingness in the graphic that's at the side. That needs to be built in. Okay. Again, we'll look at this as we go through the rest of the slides. At the bottom, you'll see these lines at the bottom in yellow, rust color. I'll not jump into those lines, but just keep your eye on them. It will give you some way forward. The other thing is, when we go through the whole presentation, I'd say just keep collecting all the dots, and at the end of it all, bring all the dots together. I may not be able to bring all the dots. I may just forget to bring all the dots together, but you please do that for me. That would be wonderful as it goes through. So there's a copyright with regards to this presentation, of course, but then in certain areas in India, copyright means the right to copy. Anyway, please use this presentation as much as you can and to change what's happening in your office if it is happening. Okay, so all this is what I put together. I told you is through experience, through observations, through my conversations with seniors, juniors, peers, and so on. So it's entirely experiential. And I'm very happy that I've been able to collect some data, actual data about India also. And that really will help as it goes through. Okay, so it's been collated, as I told you, with the data. There is Gallup, McKinsey, Mossad, yes, Mossad too, Michael Page, Deloitte. I mean, there are various people, reports, and that I've taken, put it together to give you what you will see today. It's progressive. It's not the end. It keeps on moving forward. Obviously, when I'm referring to these consultancies, they would bring out a report every year, and it's definitely progressive. But we've got to keep an eye on what are the changes that are happening. Is it for good or is it stagnant? And it will debunk many of the current practices that are happening today, particularly in the HR field, and also the way teams are being put together, the way teams are being handled, the way people are being handled, as I said. Just remember the jealousy and pettiness that we talked of earlier. Okay, so let's get into the presentation. Oh, okay, that's me. I look better in 2D than in 3D, so that's why I put up that photograph. I have a little brand called Claire Skills, which I've been running for the last 3 years. Claire is an acronym, and I deliver training, coaching sessions, mentoring sessions, assessment centers based on these 5 rings that I feel any leader would need to have. Okay, So that's my take, but there's a lot that I do, and across India, a little bit around the world also. That's how it goes. Okay. So the VUCA is inside. We've been talking about, I mean, for the last few years, we've been saying there's VUCA, the world is a VUCA, this, everything is VUCA, everything outside is VUCA. Well, I always felt jargons are constructed or, thought of by managers who have difficulty in being a leader. And they use lots of jargons. The world will be the world. Okay. You can't change that. God has made it. God will keep running the world. We mess with the world will come back with a vengeance. Okay. That's it. Who's messing with the world? We are messing with the world. The VUCA is here inside us. Let's get this. Let's get clear on this factor. If we're clear on that, and we understand that we have to handle things like leaders, learn skills, learn information, or get our knowledge up, right? Get our intellect up, our emotions in order. There's nothing like VUCA. I have written a book, and in that book I mentioned that probably from the time I started working, I've been seeing VUCA. So the world will be the world. You can't change that. That's going to happen, and that will continue to happen. It's how you handle the situation. If you can't handle the situation, you will think of a jargon, and you will use that jargon as an excuse. Pettiness. Okay. So what's the VUCA? So this is the Michael Page report that came out in April of this year. And we have been talking about the great resignations. So yeah, it's in the last couple of years, as he says, more than 38% of the people have been at their current job, or have only been at the rest have moved. And he says in the next 6 months, 86% of the respondents are ready to change. So this is an April report. So probably he did the survey at the beginning of the year and the first 3 months of the year. We are really experiencing resignations right now. And when you look at your own friend circle, when you look at your professional circle, you will see that this is really and truly happening. So that's a real concern. That's the situation right now, which we're going through. This is India, so the rest of the world is not much different. So the last 2 years have been really tumultuous, to say the least. What else does this report talk to us? He says, why are people leaving organizations, particularly in these last 2 years? They're looking for a career progression, 48% career progression. Okay, 48% are ready to change their role, their industry. Unhappy with salary, unhappy with the strategies of the company, and they want a different type of role. This is so millennial, and Gen Z is no different. Okay, I've got children who one is a millennial and one is, and I can just relate to what this report from Michael Page is telling us. Absolutely true. Okay, I have a friend, she just cleared her chemical engineering from one of the top colleges, the IIT of in India, right? Chemical engineering done, 4 years, back at home. I don't want to follow this. I want to do fashion designing. That's it. So think about it, as startups, as companies that are 30 years old or 100 years old, what are we looking at? What are we staring at? What is the situation that is existing? Career progression, 48%. Remember this, because we'll talk about this as we go. The last little snippet that I've taken from the Michael Page report, and this is all connected with India. 61% says they are willing to sacrifice their salary, bonus, promotions for better well-being, mental health, and happiness. Oh, this is crazy. Okay. So HR really needs to now sit up. C-suite boardrooms need to sit up. Replacing a person or somebody resigning, you know what's the cost to the company. So we really need to start looking at this seriously. And if we are an HRBP, we need to be partners to everybody. We need to start as bosses, as leaders, managers, we need to start mentoring people rather than managing people. That is more important. The VUCA is inside, the VUCA is not outside. Okay, it's happening in your team and you are responsible for your team. Okay, so that's what VUCA Inside will tell you about. And I suggest you get hold of this report, and just read about it. If you're in APAC, this is all about APAC also. You're in India, definitely lots of information about India. Okay. Though we are an international audience on this, but I'm focusing a little bit on India. So but what we're seeing in India is really not very different from the world. It's almost the same. Employee experience is something that I always love talking about for years, and I always base it on Gallup, because to me, Gallup brings a fantastic data, simply because of that database. Nearly 3 million employees they're talking to, over 100,000 teams across 96 countries, industries 54. Oh gosh. So this is a previous report which I have taken simply because of one important point which they highlighted in this. Gallup is famous for particularly the engagement survey they do. I'm for engagement. That's why I like Gallup. But I always feel before engagement, belongingness has to come in. So the engagement survey in this 2020 report said, this is worldwide data, 15% of your employees are engaged. That's it, 15%. This was just at probably around when the pandemic struck us, COVID-19 struck the world. 15% engaged. That's an astonishing figure to think of. You have a raging pandemic, people are searching for jobs, but only 15% engaged. And they're very beautifully connected profitability of an organization with engagement. And they said that if engagement goes up, more the engagement, the effect is really 21%. Better engagement, more profitability, and the connection is about 21%. Simple. I would love to see that how much would belongingness add to the profitability. The bottom line to me, or the last point to me, is what I was searching for many years. It was in my mind. I said, definitely, who do we catch hold of, train, upskill, mentor, coach, so that engagement goes up? Okay. And Gallup finally got it and told us that managers account for a 70% variance in engagement scores, in team engagement. The managers, 70%. Okay. For long, we have pointed fingers at employee and said, you have a bad attitude. Your knowledge is poor. Your skills are poor. We pointed fingers at that, but finally those three fingers are pointing back at us and saying, manager, 70% of the problem is because of you. Very interesting. Thank Gallup for that. Okay. So this is Gallup's survey of 2022. Now they keep changing the way in which they present their data. But engagement and disengaged or actively disengaged will continue. Those three parameters never change in a Gallup's report. But what they have done this year is that they have added a few more parameters. And beautiful in this report, they have actually gone country-wise. Okay, so they've covered those 96 countries that is there. The numbers who they are surveying remains the same. So those 96 countries, and they're given individual reports for each of those countries. So at the very outset, the report starts with saying work sucks. This is their words from that report, and it's not mine. Work sucks. And why? Worldwide, they said the emotionally detached who are not engaged, 60%. Remember, 85% was 2 years ago. So 60%, and miserable at work is 19%. So the 85 has become 79, which is a good feeling worldwide. This is worldwide stats, right? So that's a good thing, but still work sucks. Because they have added some parameters, which we will look at when we look at specifically India. And thriving is 21%. That's the engaged factor. From 15, it has gone up to 21%. Maybe this is the pandemic effect. People in need of jobs, so they have, put in that effort, put aside differences, put aside pettiness, put aside jealousy, and worked on their teams. HRs have got their act together. So maybe things are starting to happen because of the pandemic. But yeah, the numbers are a little better, but still they say work sucks. Why? Because of the other parameters that come into play. Oh God, Omar Sharif, God bless his soul. Yeah, loved his acting in his roles. So let's look at India. Engagement, that it was 26% for the world, 21% for the world, sorry, but in India it is 26%. So we're a little better than the world. So now, that's good. I sound like Donald Trump, in one of his interviews. We are better than the world. Okay, sorry about that. These are the other parameters that Gallup surveyed and gave it in their report. They said 13% of the people say they are having a good life. Just 13%. Okay. And they said that the engaged score of 26% and this good life of 13% has just moved 1% more than last year. That's it. But 13% say they have a good life. These are professionals in various companies across India. That is very interesting. And if you look at any organization and go, probably you will agree that, yeah, 10 to 15% are having a very good life. The rest are striving, they're not thriving. Now they also ask questions is that in a day, is there a period of time when you worry or you get angry and so on? Is there a period of time? A rather significant period of time. Not a fleeting one, but a little significant period of time. If it is there, please say yes. Otherwise, just say no. Daily worry. So those questions that came out, they said 50% of the people say they worry. What they're worrying about is you've got to dissect the report to understand what they're worrying about. But obviously, if it's not good life, we can understand where it's coming from. Stress, 32%. And these are up from last year. These are all up from last year. Anger, 37% of the respondents are saying, yes, they face periods or times of anger during the day. And that's every day. Huh? Not just one day in a month or one day in the year. No, almost every day. That's the way the questions were framed. Sadness, 42%. Look at the emotions, the range of emotions that are coming into play here. And this is, for me, is heartbreaking. Only 19% said that they get some respect during the day. 19%. Let's connect this 19 with the 26 at the top. It simply means that there are some engaged people who will leave your organization very quickly. I don't need to say more. Okay, we can think of disengaged or actively disengaged people definitely leaving the organization. That's 85%, which ties in with Michael Page's numbers, right? But here, if you're not getting respect on a daily basis, you are going to leave the organization as much engaged as you are. That is sad. 23% said they don't mind relocating. We don't mind moving. I'm working in Delhi. I don't mind moving to a smaller town, but I need a decent life. I need a good life. Again, tying in with Michael Page's report. Okay. So these numbers are really interesting, and that is why I said HRBPs need to sit up. CEOs, C-suite, boardrooms, leaders, they need to sit up and take note of these numbers. Mental health is important. Our employees are having mental health issues, and they are the mental health problems or concerns are being initiated by no one else other than the managers. We need to work on this. We've seen the situation. Michael Page gave us the situation. Gallup is giving us the problem. Now let's see what we can do, how we can change and what is needed. That's important. So we went a little deeper into Gallup's reports, and they said the past was very, very frank. So the baby boomers, Gen X, would probably, work on these principles: paycheck, satisfaction, boss, etc. But the new generations, Y, Z, Alpha, that would still time for Alpha, but Y and Z, they look at purpose, development, coaching, simple facts. Right? We know it, but our policies, HR policies, are those put together by baby boomers and Gen X. Why haven't we changed our policies? I asked this question. I've been asking this for a few years. I do hear some people are changing, and there is some new policies coming in, but we still there's a lot of work still left. So the employee experience. So this is a Deloitte one, which came out roughly around the same time, 2020, 2019, somewhere around that, where they put together in a tabular form as to what does the employee want to experience that would make engagement a lot better. And if you see in this, there would be a lot of belongingness also setting in, particularly on the ones that I have put in our heart. Love, okay? And don't forget about love. So we really need to get into that. And when I look at this carefully and analyze it, it reminds me of Daniel Pink's talk, where he talks about autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Motivation, internal, external, all that, let's forget for a moment. Autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Exactly that is popping out from this chart. Okay, let's work on that. So, there you go. Definitely engagement brings profit, but mental health is real in India too. For long, we have ignored it. Companies, they talk about posh, they talk about everything else, but mental health is still not being talked about, not being accepted. I don't know how many companies have a leave policy for mental health, particularly. Let's think about it. Belongingness really is important. If belongingness sets in, a lot of the mental health issues will go away. Okay, I'll try and give you some I'll try and give you a tip about belongingness, how to bring belongingness within your team and try to limit mental health issues. Yeah, that's the last line, but I put it right at the top. Focus on managers' competencies. Really, really, really important here. And we're not doing it. I mean, recently I was called up by a company, a large manufacturing company. They said, we want a session on change management. I said, yeah, great, fantastic, that's lovely. That really shows you're progressive. You know, the HR head was there. I said, so who will be the audience? All the frontline staff. I said, change management, frontline staff. I think we need to start at the top first. Oh, it was change management. So let's talk about the S curve as another concept that we have that I would love to talk about it. I've rarely seen HRs referring to this or even talking to the HODs about the S curve. So S curve is an S-shaped curve. Okay, and it's very simple. So it starts from one point where you start learning, and then you grow. And while you're growing, you are picking up your skills, you're picking up your knowledge, your conceptualization skills increase, maybe your technical skills also increase, particularly your handling of the human resources increase. And when you reach, obviously you will reach a plateau because you're at one role, you're at one position. Now you need to move to the next level, and then the next level, and so on and so forth. I'll put the question now, and then later on we can just think about it. How many HR or how many companies have this HR concept in them where they talk about this S curve, where they reward people who have gone in or picked up on their skills, their learning, etc. How many people are rewarding learning? That's very important. Just for a history, Charles Handy was the one who brought us this S curve in the mid-90s. So you can use it for the organization, you can use it for individual, like the SWOT analysis. Okay, that's the way it is. So the S curve is, of course, growth mapped against time, very simple to understand. It tells you when to intervene and what is the support that is required. If done really well by your HR, this could be really useful. HR and the team leader, that is very important. So that's important as it goes through. But before that, I mean, we really need to, and that's why I said it's okay to get into the S curve and have training programs, etc., but you need to reward growth, you need to reward learning. That is important. Somebody has picked up on certain set of skills, right? There's been a certain level of learning which is better than others that needs to be rewarded. Now, when I say rewarded, I don't mean only money. There are ways of rewarding it. Okay, that's where HR's particular innovativeness has to come in. Growth has to be rewarded. The person has moved up and there has to be rewarded. Favoritism is not part of this. Biasness is not part of this. Those come under pettiness. So, and Charles Handy and McKinsey has put this together. They have actually, given 3 sets of this S curve. So when you start off, it's an experiential learning, on-the-job training, or you're on the shop floor, or learning what is required. Mental models, mindsets, etc., change as it goes through. Strengths and weaknesses are identified. A lot of basic work is going on at this time. When you come to that, the middle phase is where it is really fantastic. Oh, it's like it's running very fast. Okay, so not only the person who's going through this experience, but also the managers and the support that is being delivered has to be very, very active, has to be very alert. Okay, so that has to come in. There is a lot of informal learning also that will happen at this time. The initial part, there is all formal learning. You learn that. Now there's a lot of informal learning. Now you've got to really take care of this. If you're the one in charge of this person, you've got to take care of this as it goes through. And the vision, because now the person is experiencing, he is or she is, able to see so many avenues in front. You've got to help that person decide on which avenue is to be followed. The last part is very simple. I mean, you've got to have continual support, and most importantly, have a plan to take the person onto the next curve. If there is no plan, this highly engaged person is going to be disengaged and leave your organization with all the skills and talent and knowledge that has been picked up while working for you. So have good, robust policies in place. Okay, if there is no curve, which is, I mean, it has to be a higher curve, obviously. If there's nothing like that, then gone. So all those mental health issues will start cropping up again. So the S curve is a beautiful way of taking things, and I would recommend this to many people to work on it. I mean, but this is a guideline. Like the bell curve was a guideline, so this is also a guideline. It's not a rule, it's not a mandatory effort, but that's the way it is, okay? So reward learning, that's the most important. You should have your progressive curves available. Have a system of promotions and so on, and people's role changing. I just saw in the Michael page that 48% were changing because there was no progress. There was no progress. I mean, they did not see any progression in their role. This has to come into play. Okay, person engaged with cognitive skills, or they have been cognitively challenged, the mental health is definitely going to be better. Think of it from various angles. Okay, and this is not for, as I said from the very beginning, not for only one person, or it's not only for the authoritarian or the clique or the coterie that is there. It is for everybody. It is for everybody. You really don't know who's going to deliver. And a fine example is what we are seeing in the ongoing Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. India is winning medals, and who is delivering those medals is an astonishing fact. Given the opportunity, given the facility, given the coaching, people from corners of India are coming up and delivering or giving us medals. It was never there before. And that's what we have to understand, that anyone can deliver. We have to give an opportunity to everybody. Mentor and coach, do not manage. And I've been saying this for a long time. And I always say millennials don't need a manager, they need a coach. I've written that in my book about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I published my book, and I very clearly mentioned that millennials don't need a manager, they need a coach. As simple as that. And I have experienced, I have recruited, trained a bunch of millennials, and today they're all employees of the year in their companies and doing extremely well. That's the way it is. Belongingness and take up on your cognitive skills. That's very important. So let's come to the last section, which is about cognitive skills. I don't have anything to talk about cognitive skills. It's a little game. I hope we can get responses from people. I am not able to log into Facebook as yet, Facebook Live. I have no idea why. Let me just try. No. It's probably, I'm blocked from my own presentation. No, it's not there. Great. So I really don't know. So anyway, maybe I could get some help from the organizers and let me know what are the responses coming in. So cognition is very simple, and this is very important. Where are the cognition? less you'll have mental health issues. Okay, so it helps us in our thought, experience, senses, acquiring knowledge, understanding, lots of things it works on. Problem solving, reasoning, these are areas in which it really helps you. When I deliver my training or coaching sessions or the mentoring sessions, I'll probably be basing it on these 6 parameters. I like to look at it all. I don't use words as should, could, and would. I don't assume that you are having problems. I don't speculate that you're having problems and base all my sessions on that, on assumptions, speculations, and use words like, as I said, should, could, and would. No, I like to have something more substantial. Right? Let's look at it scientifically and then see what is happening. When I talk to motivational speakers, they're saying, you're seeing wrong because it's your perception, my perception. I am the wrong person. It's your perception. So then it continues, the argument continues. Let's look at it scientifically, and that's how I put it together. There's simple things that we can do based on science, and it takes care of all the problems. The VUCA inside disappears, and believe me, there's no VUCA outside. So I'm going to give you a code. This is a code. You all understand what a code is. So I'm going to give you a code. I'll show it to you for 30 seconds, right? And after that, I will ask you some questions. They will come up on the screen. You have to answer them. If you can just type in your answers to the organizer maybe, or whoever is on Facebook Live, and then can be shared with me. That would be wonderful. Okay. Right. So here's the code that comes in. So this symbol means 1. This next symbol 2, and so on. So you have right. So I hope you have picked up the symbols. So I'll ask you the questions. If you can be an MI agent. Mission Impossible. Okay, Tom Cruise. Good. I like Tom Cruise. Right. Can anyone tell me the answers, please? How do you get this Facebook Live? It's really so sad that I can't connect it. I am on the Facebook page of IIU, but I can't get it to the live sessions. Can someone help me if anybody's giving us answers? Because I can't see anything. Is this? Anyone helping, please? Any responses? Oh dear me, should I scrap this and move forward?
Yes, please
Should
go
I
forward. Yes,
should I scrap and move forward if there are no responses?
you have responses in chat. You will see after sessions here. You have
In chat.
yes, in
Okay.
chat live. You after your session you can see many people answering your in chat live.
Okay, I have one chat line. 1 plus 2 is equal to the L and U. No, that is incorrect. That is, I think, come from you, ma'am. I can't get a Facebook Live. Yeah. Anyone else in chat?
It's from chat. It's from chat. People answer in chat, and I posted you here.
I can only see one message. That's okay, ma'am. You have again responded. No, that is also incorrect.
It's from people from chat.
Oh, it's from people in chat. You're copy pasting, is it? Oh, that the U and the, okay, no, that's not it. Okay, I'll give you another opportunity, those who are watching. Let's try to be a James Bond now. There is scope to be James Bond, though the character was killed in the last movie, that just maybe they'll bring him back. And Daniel Craig is not going to be the next James Bond. So everyone has an opportunity of acting as James Bond in the next movie. Answer this and maybe you will be the James Bond. Right, any answers, please?
Not answered them now.
Right, no problem. So we move ahead because we are short of time. So this was the code that I gave you. One was that particular symbol, 2, 3, and then so on. So what is the basis of this? You remember this is about cognitive skills. So I said this is about reasoning, problem solving, coming up with the solution, synthesis. Okay. What happened was that a lot of us will be trying to memorize this code. Cognitive skills tells us don't memorize, understand the concept, understand why this code is being used. What is the basis of this code? And that is cognitive skills. And it's very, it's simple. A 10-minute exercise, if we run this every day with our teams, it's a lot of help that can happen. There's team bonding that's going to happen. There's mental health issues going to be removed. Cognitively, we all become better. There's so much benefits out of running similar types of exercises. 10 minutes a day, organized by HR at the various locations, your company is going to grow phenomenally. That is my guarantee. Okay. So this was the code that I gave you. You don't have to memorize it. Now, if you can work out, what is the basis, that'll be wonderful. So here I'll give you the answer to this particular code. And I'm very sure you will not never ever forget it in your life. Sorry. Brilliant. So I guess you can really understand this. This is simple knots and crosses that we used to play when we were children, and it is still played by so many children. Today it's called a hashtag. Okay. The concept of one, the numbers 1 to 9 is taken from this particular figure, the hashtag. Okay. Apparently Mossad used this many years ago. They don't use it now because I know about it. So they used it, and right, it's wonderful. So these little exercises, again, I'm saying it, use them to develop the cognitive skills of your team, remove mental health issues, bring in team bonding, and there's so many others that you can use. This is one, and there are so many others. And that's where HR BP has to understand that they are partners to every employee, not just the bosses or their favorites or something. No way. Or the most authoritarian person in the organization. That's it. That's the only HR I will do for. No way. They gotta move. They gotta move on. Otherwise, they're just waste of spaces. So cognitive skills, it really improves your mental health, as we've seen, reasoning and problem solving. Complex becomes simple. So even if you have a work-related issue, it's a complex one, a manufacturing issue, something, supply chain issue, can be made into a very simple one. Okay, and it's fun, brings the team together. Any questions before I close?
Thank you, sir. I'm afraid that the time is end. Thank you for your session.
Anyone has any questions? I'll do one thing, because I can see a message coming up that we have another session in another minute and a half. So
yes,
that's me. You can connect with me. That's my website, clareskills.com, CLARE, name of a girl. But actually it's an acronym, clareskills.com, or my mobile number is there, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. As simple as that. Andrew Shepherd. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. Back to you, ma'am.
thank you.